What's up everybody, bringing you another Dota 2 video. Okay, this time I'm going to be talking about the strategic importance of towers, okay, on the Dota 2 map. Okay, I've been looking around on YouTube. Okay, I haven't found any guides that really talk about the strategic importance of the towers on the Dota 2 map. Okay, as we all know, Dota 2, what we want to do is we want to push down the towers and destroy the enemy ancients. Okay, but what most people do not realize is that actually each tower have different strategic importance towards the game. Okay, so now in this video, I'm going to go through the towers, and talk about their different importance. Okay, I'm not going to talk about tier 4s. Tier 4s are relatively straightforward. They are the last line of defense, for your ancient. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the other 9 outer towers. Okay, before I begin, I'm going to assume that you know a few things. Okay, firstly, I'm going to assume that you know about basic map knowledge. You know where everything is. Okay, where is the secret shop? Okay, where are the ancient camps? Okay, where are the neutrals? Okay, where is Roshan? Where does the rune spawn? Okay, I'm going to also assume that you know about vision. Okay, vision behind tree lines. Okay, vision for high ground, low ground. Okay, I'm going to assume you know about things like why high ground is better. Okay, the low ground mischance. Okay, I'm going to assume you know about positioning. Okay, how do you position yourself for tower offense and tower defense? Okay, how do you position yourself for team fights? Okay, I'm going to also assume that you know about economy. Okay, how does that impact the outcome of the game? If you do not know these things, okay, you can go onto YouTube, look for other videos, okay, that show you things about these things. Purge Gamer, Dota Cinema, many other channels, okay, on Dota 2 that teaches you these things. Okay, but in this video, we're going to talk about specifically towers themselves. Okay, so for towers, okay, what do they actually do? Okay, the first thing that towers actually do is draw the front line for your battle. Okay, in Radiant, in Dota 2, Radiant and Dire are basically two forces, okay, trying to kill each other. Okay, so the towers actually, okay, define the front line of the battle. Okay, so if we look at the map itself, okay, the front line that is being drawn by the towers, okay, well, every one of them is up, okay, is here, okay, as I've just drawn out. Okay, so this is the front line for Dire, this is the front line for Radiant. Okay, and in the middle, okay, if you're familiar with warfare, this is what we call no man's land. Okay, you go there, okay, you have a very high chance of being killed. Okay, so the river is where you go to die. Okay, that's what some people like to say. Okay, so that is what that's the first thing that towers do. Okay, what is the second thing that towers do is that they are safe zones. Okay, when you are near your own towers, okay, you are relatively safe. Towers do a ton of damage. Okay, so enemies are less likely to attack you there. Okay, so save for a few tower diving heroes, okay, like Night Stalker. Okay, you are relatively safe, okay, while in the vicinity of your towers. Okay, next, okay, what towers do is that, okay, they give you map control over a certain region of the map. What do I mean by that? Because you can only TP onto towers unless you have boots of travel. Okay, so what they allow you to do is they allow you to reinforce, okay, to bring in reinforcements to a certain region of the map very quickly. Okay, because you can TP onto that region. Okay, once you lose the tower, you can no longer TP onto that tower. Okay, you lose control as you cannot bring in reinforcements quickly. Okay, and okay, the last thing that towers, about towers is that each of them have actually different strategic values, meaning not all of them are the same. Okay, even for tier 1s, each of them have different strategic values. So that's what we'll also be looking at in this video. Okay, so let us go into the towers themselves. Okay, so firstly, let us start off with the long lane tier 1 towers. Okay, let's do the tier 1 first. Okay, the long lane tier 1. Okay, so for the Radiant, okay, this is your long lane tier 1. Okay, this is your long lane tier 1. Arguably, I would say that they have the least strategic value. Okay, because when you lose them, okay, you lose relatively little. Okay, so what do I mean? Okay, let's look at what happens if, okay, you lose, okay, the long lane tier 1 towers. Okay, what do you lose control of? Okay, you lose a bit of control over your secret shop. Not a big deal, especially in the early game. So you lose a bit of control there. You lose a bit of control over your ancients, meaning it's easier for enemies to come there and ward off your ancient camp, block their spawn. It also opens up a bit more ganking routes, say this way and this way. Okay, it makes it a lot more dangerous. Okay, not a lot. It makes it more dangerous for your own heroes. But arguably, okay, they are not very important. In fact, you will see some teams just letting the long lane tier 1 drop. Okay, because that can actually be an advantage. Okay, because why? Okay, if I let my long lane tier 1 drop, okay, the creep wave can actually now push into my friendly region, friendly territory. Previously my long lane hero had to go into the enemy territory to farm, which is very dangerous. But now if your tier 1 long lane tower drops, the creep wave can actually push in and your hero can actually farm in the relative safety of your own friendly territory. So losing long lane tier 1, not that important. So next let us look at the safe lane tier 1 tower, which is this one here, and this one here. So what happens if you lose the safe lane tier 1? Your front line gets redrawn like this. And what you will see is that you lose control over a massive region of the map, here and here. The downfall of this is that when you lose control over that region, you lose control over your neutral camps, meaning the enemy can come into your neutral camps and farm them more easily. It also opens up a lot more ganking routes. So if you look at the Radiant, now the enemy can come in through here to gank the mid lane. They can come in through here, 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 and they can camp themselves here. So losing control of your losing your safe lane tier 1 tower is a very big strategic disadvantage to your team, because not only do you lose your neutrals, you also open up yourself for more ganks. So try not to lose your tier 1 safe lane tower. So now that we have looked at the long lane and safe lane, let us look at the mid lane. Before I talk about the mid lane, you need to realize that the mid towers are actually asymmetric. Meaning the Dire mid tower and the Radiant mid tower have different strategic values. To understand this, we need to go back to what is called the Dire advantage. So in a lot of games, you hear people talk about the Dire advantage, meaning they have access to Roshan more easily. So they say that the Dire can access Roshan through here, they can access Roshan through here and here. So it's a lot easier for the Dire team to sneak a Roshan. So the Roshan gives you things like experience gold and the Aegis of Immortal. So a lot of people think that is the Dire advantage. However, that is not the entire truth of it. So if you look at the Dire, so if you look at the Rosh Pit, the Rosh Pit is here. A lot of times people go in the Rosh Pit, they fight, and a lot of people die. And sometimes you see people buy back and try to reinforce the Roshan Pit. And remember what I said about reinforcing a certain region. To do that, you need to have your towers up. So if you look at the Rosh Pit, for the Dire side, in order to reinforce the Rosh fight, I can TP through the mid. I can also TP through these two towers. I can come in through here and here. I can also come in through here. Meaning for the Rosh Pit on the Dire side, the Dire actually have 3 reinforcement points. Compared to the Radiant, if you look at the Radiant side, the only tower that the Radiant can relatively easy reinforce the Rosh Pit is through the mid tower. Either going through here, or going through here, or going through here. So the other 2 towers are way too far. By the time you TP on top to them and move towards the Roshan Pit, it's way too late. So that is actually the other part about the Dire advantage. Dire actually has 3 towers. They can use to reinforce the Rosh Pit. Meaning that the Dire mid tower is not as important as the Radiant mid tower. This is especially important when you're playing on the Radiant side. You want to be very careful. You don't want to let the Dire push down your mid lane tier 1 tower. If not, it will make it much easier for the Dire side to get Roshan. Which is why a lot of times you see in pro games you will see both teams just facing off at the mid lane. Because what the Dire wants to do is they want to bring down the mid tower to get the Roshan, and Radiant side doesn't want that to happen. Which is why a lot of times you see people face off in the mid lane tier 1 tower region. So when you're playing on the Radiant side, please be careful. Don't let your mid tower drop easily. So that is for the tier 1 towers. So let us look at the tier 2 towers now. The strange thing about tier 2 towers is that they are actually not very important. What do I mean by that? If you look at the region that the tier 2 tower protect, let's say all my tier 1 towers are down. This is the region that the tier 2 towers protect. this is the region that the tier 3 tower protects. Okay, so what actually are the tier 2 protecting? Okay, they are protecting this region here. Okay, which is not a lot. Okay, there's actually nothing there. Okay, sure, it gives you a bit more space to maneuver. It gives you a bit more space to farm. Okay, but compared to the tier 1, okay, arguably the tier 2s, okay, are not as important. Okay, in terms of the territory that they protect. Okay, in fact, sometimes, okay, you want to let your tier 2 drop. Okay, sometimes you see pro teams, they actually let their tier 2 drop without any sort of defense at all. Okay, why is that so? It's because, okay, you have to look at the territory, the terrain around the tier 2 towers. Okay, so okay, let us look at the easiest, okay, tier 2 tower to defend. Okay, which is this. Sorry, which one? Yeah, is this for both sides is the long lane that's the easier one to protect. Okay, so in tower defense and offense, you want to set up your team. Okay, so for the Radiant, okay, you can actually set up your defense in this region here. Okay, whereas the enemy, they can set up their offense here, they can hide behind the tree line here, they can hide here, they can hide in this region here, they can also backstab you here. Okay, so in terms of tier 2, okay, it's actually quite difficult to defend a tier 2 tower. Okay, the long lane is actually the one where it's easiest to defend. Okay, you have some space to set up your defense. Okay, meaning a region for you to maneuver. Okay, but if you are not able to set up your defense there, sometimes it is much better to just let your tier 2 tower drop. Okay, especially if the enemy is smart, what they will do is, okay, they'll actually dive past the tower and set up I forgot what the term is called. They set up a defense line here, okay, on the high ground, okay, and they will prevent you from, okay, defending your tower. Okay, once that happens, okay, I suggest that you do not go in to defend your tier 2. Okay, meaning, okay, if the enemy has already set up their offense, okay, they have placed their line here and they are already attacking your tower, okay, just let it drop. Okay, don't try to go in because you'll be fighting into high ground, and that is a very severe tactical disadvantage. Okay, you don't want that to happen. Okay, okay, and okay, that is for the long lane towers. Okay, remember I said that, okay, the long lane towers are actually the easier one to defend. Okay, if you look at the other 2 towers, they are even harder to defend. So a lot of times teams will just let them drop. Okay, why is that so? Okay, let's look at the territory around the other towers. Okay, so if you look at the mid lane, okay, in order to defend, okay, you have to defend in this region here, okay, which is low ground. Okay, you don't want to what you want to do is you do not want to defend on the low ground. Okay, what the enemy can do is, okay, they can set up here on the high ground. Okay, meaning they have vision of you, but you do not have vision of the enemy. Okay, or they can hide behind the tree line here. They can juke into the jungle here. Okay, so once you are set up here, they can actually jump you from the top. They can actually jump you from the side. Okay, so it's very difficult to defend the tier 2 towers. Okay, for the mid. Okay, let us look at this tower. Okay, the safe lane tier 2 is arguably the most difficult to defend. Okay, why do I say that? Okay, if you look at the territory around the tier 2 safe lane, okay, you only have this small sliver of land to set up your defense. Okay, which means that a lot of times, okay, you are actually fighting into high ground, and if you are retreating into low ground. That's the same for the top, the long lane actually, but okay, it's even more difficult, okay, for the safe lane. Okay, if you go into the game and look at the region here, this is actually a very small sliver of land. Okay, so it's very difficult to defend. Okay, if you look at what the enemy can do, okay, they can actually come here, set up behind the tree line. Okay, they can set up here. Okay, they can set up here. Okay, they can set up here. Okay, or they can do the same thing and set up a defense line here, preventing you from defending your tower. Okay, so in fact, when defending the tier 2 tower, actually the enemy has the advantage, okay, for offense. Okay, so sometimes you just want to let your tier 2 tower drop, okay, because they are very difficult to defend, and a lot of times you may end up getting team wiped. Okay, so if we look at the Dire side, okay, it's the same story. If you look at the long lane, this is the more so for Dire is actually a bit it's again asymmetrical. Okay, so for the Dire, if you look at the long lane, okay, this is the harder one to defend. Okay, you only have this small region, okay, to set up your defense, okay, which is not ideal. Okay, the enemy can set up here. Okay, they can set up here. Okay, they can set up here, they can set up in the tree line. In fact, you see some people like Bat Rider, they will tear through the trees here and set up an offense line here and then jump you from the back here. Okay, or they can just sit here and wait for you to come in and jump you. Okay, so very dangerous to defend this tier 2 tower. Okay, sometimes you just want to let it drop. Okay, if you are not able to set up your defense. Okay, basically you need to preempt the enemy. Okay, you need to set up your defense before the enemy comes. Okay, if the enemy is already set up, okay, forget it. Okay, let this tier 2 tower drop. Okay, for the safe lane on the Dire side, okay, this is the easier one to defend. Okay, basically you have this region to set up your defense. Okay, but the same thing, it is still quite dangerous. Okay, because the enemy can set up behind the tree line here. They can set up in the jungle here. They can also set up themselves in the jungle here or tear through the trees here. Okay, they can also jump you here. Okay, another disadvantage for the Dire is that the super cliff. What is a super cliff? This is a super cliff. Okay, you should know what this is. Okay, the super cliff is here, meaning if the Radiant actually places a ward here, they have vision over this entire region. Okay, meaning they will see you coming. If you're the Dire, if you're Dire side, they will see you coming from miles away. Okay, that is a huge disadvantage when you're defending the tier 2 tower. Okay, so a lot of times the same thing, you will see teams letting the tier 2 tower, this tier 2 tower just drop. Okay, unless of course you go in first and set up a defense line, you deward the super cliff, okay, and then you set up your defense. Okay, only when you are properly set up should you attempt to defend the tier 2 tower here. Okay, next let us look at the mid lane. Okay, if you are defending on the Dire side, the mid lane, okay, same thing happens. Okay, the enemy can set up on the high ground here. Okay, they can also set up on the high ground here. Okay, or they can juke through the trees here. Okay, or they can hide behind the tree here. Okay, and then jump you. Okay, basically that is what happens a lot of time. Okay, the enemy will position themselves here, okay, here, here, or here, okay, and then jump the defenders, okay, when they come in. Okay, so tier 2 towers, okay, very difficult to defend, okay, offer very little strategic advantage. My recommendation is that unless your defense is already set up, okay, just let the tier 2 towers drop. Okay, sometimes it's not important to defend. It's not that important to defend the tier 2 tower. Okay, of course you give your enemy some gold, some map control. Okay, but all things considered, okay, is not. I wouldn't recommend defending the tier 2 in most situations. Okay, because you might end up getting team wiped. Okay, that is for the tier 2 towers. Okay, next, okay, we're going to look at the tier 3 towers. Okay, the tier 3 towers are very, 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 very important. Okay, you do not ever want to let your tier 3 towers drop. Okay, unless for example you are fighting 3v5, you have 2 heroes already dead. Okay, you should try to fight and defend your tier 3 towers. Okay, but of course, okay, don't do it at the expense of your own life. Okay, so why is the tier 3 tower so important? It's basically, okay, it defends your base. Okay, if you look at the base, okay, the 2 bases, okay, there are, okay, only 3 routes, okay, into the base. Okay, and each of these routes is a narrow passageway, and the tower actually cover the entire entrance. Okay, and the most important thing is that the towers provide true sight. Okay, so they not only provide attack on the enemy, they also provide true sight. Okay, meaning that, okay, if you lose a tower, okay, if you lose a tier 3, okay, you are now open, okay, to being ganked inside your own base. Okay, meaning, okay, invisible heroes like Nerubian Assassin, Bounty Hunter, okay, all sorts of these guys, okay, or heroes that build Shadow Blade, they can easily gank you in your own base if you lose a tower, okay, because you no longer have true sight. Okay, not only that, okay, the enemy can now also place a ward on your high ground. Okay, normally you have a defender advantage because you are defending on high ground. Okay, the enemy cannot see, okay, into your base, okay, unless of course they place the 2 offensive wards here or here, okay, which is very obvious. Okay, but if your tower goes down, okay, the enemy can easily place wards, okay, in the entire region here. Okay, so you don't want to let your okay, tier 3 towers drop. Okay, and for the 3 tier 3 towers, right, okay, it's actually more important to defend your side towers, okay, meaning the 2 at the side here. Okay, so you might wonder, okay, why is it more important to defend the side towers compared to the mid tower? Okay, in fact, a lot of times, okay, if given a choice, okay, you would rather let the mid tier 3 drop. Okay, why is that so? Okay, if you look at if you consider reinforcing the base, okay, let's talk about sieging the base. Okay, so let's say if I lose my mid, okay, and I am being pressed on all sides, okay, I can easily reinforce, okay, the mid. Okay, I only travel a small distance, okay, from either the fountain or the two side lanes. Okay, meaning the mid can be easily reinforced if you are defending. Okay, but let's look at what happens, okay, if, okay, a side lane drops. Okay, let's say if this, okay, what if this side lane tier 3 tower, sorry about that. Okay, okay, what happens now is that the enemy, what they can do is they can siege your other side lane. Okay, so if they siege this other side lane, okay, your top, okay, is exposed, okay, meaning you have to be defending here. Okay, so let's say they are positioned here, attacking your tier 3 here. Okay, this is already down. Okay, meaning the enemy can just sit outside your base on the high ground. Okay, wait for the creep wave to push in, okay, on the other side lane. So once this comes in, okay, your Rex is being threatened, meaning you have no choice. Okay, you have to go and protect, okay, your other side lane. Once this happens, okay, once you move away, the enemy can now come in and then attack your other tier 3. Okay, so this distance that you have to walk, okay, let me go back. Okay, this distance you have to walk between the two side lanes, okay, is a huge disadvantage. Okay, it gives the enemy time to poke at your other tier 3 tower until it drops. Okay, meaning they can do a very, very safe siege, okay, on your base, okay, when one of the side lanes has dropped. Okay, in fact, if you go and if you pay attention to certain pro games that whereby the enemy is very good at sieging, what they'll do is they'll bring down one side lane, and then they'll just camp out here, okay, and slowly poke at your base, okay, while you are forced to, okay, defend. Okay, so of course, let's look at, okay, if the mid drops, okay, the distance you need to travel is a lot less, okay, compared to when your other side lane has dropped. Okay, so the two different types of tier 3 also have different strategic values. Okay, if you can defend the side lanes, okay, more than the mid lane, okay, because the mid lane is not as important. Okay, of course, okay, all tier 3 towers are extremely important. Okay, they offer access, okay, into your base. Okay, as far as possible, you do not want to let, okay, your tier 3 drops. Okay, so and okay, that is roughly, okay, what, okay, I have to say about, okay, the towers. Okay, if you have any comments, feel free to leave them down in the comment section. Okay, I'm always learning. Okay, I am not a pro player. I won't claim that I am even good at the game. Okay, but I'm always learning. Okay, if you think you have any comments or suggestions to add to this video, feel free to leave them down there. Okay, I'll try to add annotations. Okay, what I want to do is to improve at the game, okay, as well. So if you have any positive comments, okay, please leave them below. Okay, if you are interested in this map image that I have here, okay, I will also post a link below, okay, so you can download the map, okay, and look at it. Okay, basically it's a pretty map for you to look at. All right, okay, so thanks for watching. See you soon.